You want to talk
All right.
schedule?
We're talking schedule? Yeah. Because we alluded to it already, so we have to.
Yeah.
So,
Well, all right.
all right.
What prompted this? First of all, shout out to Mark Rogers, voice of College Football Network. He runs the main channel. He's live all the time. Yesterday,
Mhm.
Mark ranked all 130 something Division One programs. And like, to be honest, like there aren't many people who are credible enough to be able to do that and talk about all 130 plus teams, and Mark is one of them. So definitely go check out his content. He's dropping stuff all the time. But he released a video on the Indiana channel recently talking about Indiana's projected win total. He called it a very uninspiring 8-4. I took issue with that.
I'm taking issue with it.
And so I texted Brad and I said I would like to go through the schedule this week. I say this a lot, but I don't. It's hard to project like wins and losses in April, right? Like we don't even
Yeah.
know who's gonna be starting,
I
what
think,
portal this, like who takes a leap over the summer, like. So we'll see, but
yeah, I
Brad and
agree,
I are
Abel.
both really we're both really confident in Indiana's ability to play football,
Yeah.
and so
I'm assuming we're going to take a step up in terms of, I think we're going to be better than we were last year going into this year. So keeping that in mind. And then when I look at this roster, I'm going to assume they're going to be about where they're going to be at, if not maybe a little better. You know, like when you look at Oregon, like they're still, obviously they lose people, but they're still Oregon, right? Penn State, sure, they lost Abdul Carter, but they're still Penn State. They're bringing in LeVar Arrington Jr., true freshman. He's gonna be a maniac out there next year. So like when you go through, okay, we got ODU August 30th against Indiana at home. These are tune-up games. We got ODU, so a little Grant Wilson revenge game. Love that. Kennesaw State, who fired their coach, even though he brought them up, all the way up to FBS. Kennesaw State. Yeah, these are tune-up games. Then Indiana State, the Larry Bird Classic. Love that coming up. Kennesaw State firing their coach, that was so messed up. Like, he brought them all the way up from, like, whatever, not having a football team. I think he was their first ever head coach. He brought them all the way up to the FBS. Doesn't get you got to give that guy 3 years to figure it out in the FBS. I'm sorry. I don't care what NIL. Like, there's just a way of doing business here, guys. You can't just firing a mid-season year one like that. That's just low class. I hope we beat Kennesaw State by 70 personally, just because of what they did to him. And then Indiana State, that hopefully will be a 70 burger as well. I can't wait. So, and then that's a tune-up game going into what I alluded to, probably this game that's going to set the tone for this entire year. Illinois going to Indiana, two rising Big Ten powers right now. I would say the two kind of dark horses that emerged in terms of the Big Ten title race last year, Illinois and Indiana going at it September 20th at home. And this is a game where Mark Rogers penned in, whatever you want to say, a loss here. He said Illinois, Iowa, Oregon, and Penn State. And yeah, if they lose this game 8-4, not a crazy take, but it's at home. It's going to be a sellout. It just is. That's going to be a sellout. And yeah, I guess now we can go back to Sig's question. What we think the first three, I guess, before we talk about Illinois, what the first three games in terms of attendance will look like. What do you think? You have a take on that? Just stew on it a little bit.
I do have a take on it. I think attendance is going to be solid. I think there's a ton of excitement. And while I don't think the stadium is going to be filled, I wouldn't be surprised if they end up selling out this season. Like, in terms of, you can't go and buy tickets from the website. Everything's going to have to be resale. And so it's only natural that people aren't going to show up for a game you're going to win by 50. But I think there's going to be a lot of, especially game one, there's going to be a lot of support there. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, the Indiana State game is like half empty by halftime. But at the same time, like, Sig spent the last 12 months like asking the fans to stay full through and creating an atmosphere. And so, like, that's at least going to resonate with some people. And also, like, it's hard to put into perspective what just one season of success does. But, like, speak to anybody like under the age of 18 about like Indiana football, and they just think they've been good forever after this year. Like they have no concept of what it looked like before that. Like it's all recency bias. And so like I wouldn't be surprised to be at 75% capacity at in the third quarter of some of these games, but I wouldn't necessarily blame students for leaving a game. We're up by 50.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be leaving given I stayed the games where we were getting killed by 50, so I would be watching all of the game, but I get it.
Yeah. I'll say end of first quarter capacity expectations for me. Throughout these first 3 games, I would say anything less than 70%, I'll be pretty disappointed. 80% is what I'm expecting. I'd set a goal at 90. I would love to see 90% capacity at these games. That'd be awesome. Obviously, I want to sell out, but I'm going to keep it a little realistic and put it at that. Yeah. And then we got Illinois, Indiana, which I'm expecting to be 102% capacity. We'll sell extra tickets, standing room only. It's going to be a madhouse. Right after the tune-up games, no bye. No one's here to save you. Big top 20, top 15 potential matchup going on September 20. Big noon kickoff, probably.
Here's my biggest issue with the perception going into this game. And if Abel's telling us the right preseason rankings that Illinois is ranked ahead of us at 13, like if Indiana was the team that didn't make the college football playoff because they had 3 losses and then beat up on the 5th or 6th best team in the SEC, people would be talking about Indiana the same way they're talking about Illinois, because people's perception of Indiana is they got blown out in a playoff game, which isn't true. It was a 10-point game.
Well, they got played
but they played the second best team in the country.
Yeah, they played the runner-ups.
Let's be honest here. If Indiana played South Carolina, they would have whooped them. It would not have been a close game.
No.
So I'm just
neutral field, and now it's Illinois going to Indiana. I like our edge. I'm
not ready to anoint Illinois a better football team than Indiana. And if you want to give Luke Altmaier the nod over like Mendoza simply for the fact that he did it in the Big Ten, like I'll listen to an argument, but I literally just think we're better every other spot on the field and the games at home.
I think we're better at quarterback too. I'm a big Altmaier guy. I think he's an absolute gamer, but Mendoza just has that upside that Altmaier will never have. Period. So I had that as a win going into this, just like a realistic win at home against Illinois.
Also think we have the better coach.
100%.
Which goes without saying.
And then we go into Iowa the following week. Like that's a tough stretch. Like we go Illinois at Iowa City next week. That's a game where it's like, okay, just got to have a physical brawl with Illinois. Now we got Iowa. But watching this team last year, I mean, it's almost like we forgot that this team was just blowing out everyone last year, all on their way to a playoff until they faced the 2 teams in the title game and got rocked a little bit in those games. But still, I would say stayed competitive. It wasn't like they seemed fraudulent in any way. Like they were just, not the better team, and they're on the road in both those games. And that's just stuff that happens when you're not the better team on the road. You lose by multiple scores. That's just typically what happens in a football game over the course of time. So, playing an Iowa team on the road seems scary in the past. I'm not as scared. This team wasn't in the playoff. They lose their oldest defense in school history last year. They're all gone. And they're bringing in Gronowski, who's I think is going to be a very solid starter in the Big Ten, coming from South Dakota State, the transfer for Iowa. I think they're going to take a little step in offense. I'd hope. I'd imagine they take a step, right? At some point.
If you want to look at strength for Iowa, like, okay, cool. You think offensive line, like they were both, is it the Joe Moore Award for the offensive lineman or for the offensive line unit? Indiana and Iowa were both semifinalists last year. They both are going to need 2 or 3 new starters this year. So you can call that a push. Like Indiana has the edge at quarterback. They have the edge at running back. They have the edge at receiver. They have the edge at corner. They have the edge at defensive line. They have the edge at linebacker.
That's
like, what are we talking about? Like it's actually people are when they're going from last year to going to this year, they're looking at an Indiana program from a 5-year lens. and you just have to throw all that out. It's 1 year. That's what the program looks like. So this isn't this isn't Indiana football going into Iowa, playing Iowa over the last 5 years. This is Kurt Cignetti's Indiana football going into face an Iowa team that was 8-5 last year and didn't look impressive at any stretch of the season.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's Iowa's going to be Iowa. They're always going to be 8-4 around that level. Definitely a team you can't look over going into it.
Even
not going to let this team look past them. They're going to go in there. And they're going to get the big road win. Sorry, I keep interrupting, but they're going to get the big road win that Cignetti has kind of been lacking in his resume so far. And it's more so not even to his fault. It's just kind of where the situation was last year. There wasn't really an opportunity for him to get a big road win. Besides maybe UCLA was that last year, was his big opportunity. And then he blew out Michigan State on the road in a rivalry game, but they weren't that good. So this is his first shot at getting a bowl eligible team on the road, and gonna see what we do against it. And I'm gonna trust that as a playoff team that's going to a year 2 jump, that we're gonna take care of business like we normally do. I'm not gonna look past Iowa, but that's a game where this could be a big signature win for Cignetti early on this year.
No, that's what it lines up for, because and Sig said Illinois game gives him Nebraska game vibes. That's what
I like that.
I actually think the Iowa game gives me Nebraska vibes. I just don't understand where this, what has Iowa done besides go get Gronowski to make them a better football team than they were last year, or a better football team than Indiana, period, that would even make the home field matter? I just don't see it.
Yeah.
I just don't see it.
Yeah, it's just going to be tough because we're going to Iowa. That's not an easy place to win, period, ever. So it's just going to be, it's going to be a big test for Cignetti, but I'm confident the boys are going to get it done. They're not going to look ahead. They're going to take care of business one play at a time. Fast, physical, relentless, smart, disciplined poise. The whole Adam Brenneman, the whole Adam Brenneman quote again. And yeah, they're just going to do their thing and take care of business like they always do.
It's not Adam Brenneman's quote. It's Sig's quote.
The Sig quote from the Adam Brenneman podcast.
It's not. It's his quote from everywhere. He just don't have to keep giving him credit, bro.
He always says it, but that's the clip I always before the games. I always find that clip and just try to listen to it over and over again. Just get myself pumped up and locked in for the boys, and just make sure I'm taking every play serious. Because if I am, I know they are. And call me a psycho, whatever. And then we get a bye, and then we're going to Eugene. This is a tough stretch. It's a tough stretch. I like that we get the bye before Eugene, but man.
And I'll listen, I haven't had the time to go through and look at all of the big name non-con schedules, but Illinois, Iowa, Oregon is as tough a 3-game stretch as you can schedule into anybody's on purpose, let alone by accident.
Yeah.
So 100%. Any of this talk about Indiana easy schedule, look what they do with their not. It's they're gonna play in wars. They're gonna be battle tested. It's a gauntlet in the Big Ten. You don't run or hide from anybody. So the notion that they don't challenge themselves enough in the non-con, it's what, you're not gonna watch the Big Ten slate then? There's 9 games. What are we talking about?
Yeah, it's Big Ten Power 2 football. It's pure. I see the Big Ten as the SEC, similar to, if not, possibly better at the top than the SEC right now. Yeah, so they have to deal with that. And if I had to pencil it in right now in April, where it doesn't matter at all, probably gonna take a loss there. It's not really gonna affect Indiana's standing for a playoff. Would love to see them go in there and win. I'm not ruling out 12-0 for this team at all. But, it's going to be a tough one on the road against Oregon, a team that won the Big Ten last year. Not a look-ahead game by any means. After that, they get 2 home games against, I want to talk
about this game in Oregon for a second. Because, again, if you lose one or both of the Illinois or Iowa games, then the sting gets taken out of this one a little bit. But if you're rolling into this one off of those 2 wins, this is going to be, if Oregon holds up its end of the bargain, this will be a top 5 matchup in a really hostile environment.
Could be.
And so this is these are the types of games that you're hunting if you're Indiana. John just said it in the chat, but Pons mentioned it in his Hoosiers Connect interview that that's one of the games he's really looking forward to. Is and it's not disrespectful, but and I try and tell people this and they don't seem to understand it, but Indiana is a lot closer to Oregon than it is Illinois or Iowa. Like it's not an accident they were in the playoff last year. They were misranked. They probably should have been 8 and seeded better. But like I'm just not sure where everybody's seeing this giant drop off for the Hoosiers, where they're like, I just don't get it. Like I think they actually are better suited to match up against Oregon this year than Iowa is to play against them.
Yeah, 100%. And just want to add some comments real quick. Sig Sid said, we haven't won in Iowa since 07. Nothing matters before Signetti. All right.
Talking about BC times.
Yeah. Nothing before Signetti, nothing matters before that. We're the most losingest program in the history of the world now. And this 12-team playoff era is all we it's the measuring stick we look at. We're only moving forward, only moving up. And then Mendoza is better than all 3 quarterbacks battling in Eugene right now. I couldn't agree more. I watched Dante Moore as a freshman at UCLA. Fernando Mendoza was a true freshman that year as well. And, he had a starting job his sophomore year, and Dante Moore did not. Very, very different. Obviously one had 5 stars going into it, and the other had 3 stars. But, going into your 3rd year in college, your star does not matter at all. It's all about what you've done so far. It's like when you get drafted in the NFL. Like, it doesn't matter what round you were drafted. You still got to make a team and find a role. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, at that point, like it's just how much money you're gonna make. And yeah, I'm taking Mendoza over Dante Moore any day.
100%. Yeah, what was his name? He was a lefty, I think.
The kid from Helani. Is he at Miliani or
the kid from Hawaii?
Yeah. Facts.
He showed up. He saw Oregon.
I never thought of it that way. And that it kind of was the Mendoza thing that brought him back to Cal.
Well, he's like, oh shit, I could go start at Cal and at Oregon. Like, they're focused on the playoff. They're not even looking at me. It's like, buddy, what'd you think? What was your thought?
Yeah. He went to like Miliani, or he went to one of those big Hawaiian high schools, whether it was St. Louis, Miliani, Punahou. I don't know which one, but if you can find that for me, well, that'd be really helpful because I won't forget if you just told me. Yeah, love it.
But yeah, that Oregon game,
big time.
Definitely circling that one. But again, you can't definitely not overlooking Iowa. Definitely not overlooking.
We're not overlooking anyone. But I just this team's 1-0 every week. Like, that's how before we
jump past this part of the schedule, I just want the perception that these are the teams in Indiana's tier to be shaken up a little bit. Like, maybe Indiana's not in the Ohio State, like Penn State, Oregon tier, but then let's not just act like Michigan gets to just be delivered back into that tier as well, because they didn't look good at all for the first half of last year.
Yeah.
So if we're just gonna okay, cool, based on history, we'll put Michigan there, but they were horrible last year. So you're just does last year just get thrown out? Does last year not count? Yeah, so where does the line get drawn?
Yeah, I think it's fair to do that tier of Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon, and then the next tier, Indiana, Michigan, and then the next tier is your Illinois and your Iowas and your maybe your Nebraska, and then the 2 next teams after Oregon, Michigan State and UCLA. We got them both at home. I'd say these are reeling year 2 head coaches. They're expecting a year 2 jump. They're young quarterbacks coming in. Well, UCLA is bringing in an App State transfer that Tino Sinceri handpicked, and we all know about Tino Sinceri, so we're not going to overlook UCLA by any means. And
yeah, I was about to say, actually,
year 2 Aiden Childs at Michigan State. I mean, these are teams on the rise, and we get them at home, luckily, but definitely, once again, got to go 1-0 each week, and can't overlook these teams by any means, because look at those 2 names, they definitely have talent. Those are schools that just bring in talent consistently. So yeah, don't want to overlook them.
Michigan State could be a lot better this year, but it helps that Indiana gets them at home, and Indiana also has we beat you by 37 even though you jumped out to a 10-point lead at home. The UCLA game, I can't lie, it's interesting, because if you think about how quickly Tino can develop quarterbacks, if this kid's playing at a really high level, they're going to be tough to beat. That being said, I'm like you can speak to UCLA, obviously. Like, have they done anything to give you confidence they're going to be a significantly better football team than they were last year?
I mean, I
Like,
thought they
more
were a
enough
bowl.
so to
They were one of the better 5-7 teams out there. They were really, really reeling toward the end of that year. They're losing some key guys: Cam Madrano, Carson Schlesinger at the linebacker spot. So they have some holes to fill. Do I think they make I think they make a bowl game. I think they're a bowl eligible team. Do I think they're better than Indiana? No, they're not. They're not there yet. Just different. They're in different phases going into year 2. I think Deshaun Foster's doing a great job, fine job over there, bringing in some really good freshman talent. The freshman class is absolutely buzzing in Westwood right now. But like I said, they're freshmen, so it's. I'm not worried about a bunch of freshmen over there at UCLA if they nailed their class this past year, bringing in a bunch of LA kids. Not worried about that this upcoming year. Maybe in a couple years, maybe. But yeah. Side note, go Bruins. But yeah, I don't think it's happening for the fellas in Westwood this year.
Haynes is better than Tino. That is correct.
That's true. One is going to be a head coach sooner. Agreed. Indiana at Maryland. Maryland's going to take a big, who'd they bring in at quarterback? They brought in the UCLA cat. They brought in Justin Martin from Inglewood High to be their starting quarterback this upcoming year. He was the backup at UCLA last year. Had a good game, solid game against Penn State in the Bieniemy offense. Didn't really get a whole lot going, but showed some really good flashes in terms of just understanding the offense, playing in a road environment. I've always been a big fan of him, 6'4". But yeah, big question mark in terms of is he good at all? But he seems to be kind of lean to get the starting job at Maryland next year. So that's who we'll be facing. We get him on the road. So yeah, Maryland. Yeah, that road game at Maryland, I like it. All right, for that
Roman Hemby revenge game.
Yeah, Roman Hemby revenge game. We literally took their best player. What am I even talking about? What are we talking about? All right, Indiana at Penn State, another big. All right, let's say we're 9-0 at this point. Holy crap! What a fucking big game. At Penn State, I imagine they're gonna white out that one. I haven't looked at Penn State's whole schedule, but I'm hearing that our game's going to be the wideout from what I've kind of just heard rumblings about it. So, yeah, that'll be, yeah. If they thought Ohio State was loud, wait till they get Mo Bamba at kickoff, first play of the game. It's gonna be loud there, and if it's night game, hopefully on College Game Day, ESPN, Channel 7. Love that. What do you think? What do you think about Penn State? Yeah. Drew Aller.
I know. I'm like
D'Angelo Pons against Drew Aller, man. Ooh.
No, I know. It's funny. It's like the.
I feel confident going into that. Why am I so confident?
in cartoons when the dog is looking at the cat and it turns into a steak.
Yeah.
That's how the Indiana defense would look at Drew Aller. No, just at Drew Aller. And it's funny because Penn State, you're legitimate playmakers at pretty much every position. They're not going to have another Tyler Warren, but they'll probably have a dude at tight end. They brought basically USC's class of receivers. They're going to have, if it's not the same running backs from last year, they're going to have some dudes, and they're going to have guys who can get after the quarterback. They're going to be athletic in the secondary and on the second level. Penn State's going to be good. We know that, but I don't Indiana has the better quarterback, first of all, and second of all, defensively.
There we go.
Yes, Fernando Mendoza is a better quarterback than Drew Aller. No, if Fernando Mendoza and Drew Aller traded places, Penn State would be the title favorite next year.
Oh, I love that. You're cooking right now. That's good stuff.
If Georgia had Fernando Mendoza, they would be the title favorite right now.
I oddly feel way better about a whiteout game at Penn State next year than I do about a 3:30 CBS kick at Oregon. That's just, yeah.
I like the fact that it's the second big game of quote unquote big
barometer game for us. See where we're
at. Third road environment that kind of ramps up in scale. You go to Iowa, you go to Oregon, then you go to Penn State.
Yeah,
and I think you're gonna have guys playing it you're not out athleted in this game. You're just not. Like, you have the size on both lines. You have better players in the secondary and at the second level. And maybe not, they're not NFL guys, but they're elite college players. Like,
And Franklin can't win the
I'm
big ones. That's from the top rope. From the top rope. Let's go.
So it's they're like, I'm confident that the experiences of a lot of the guys in the team, especially the coaching staff this year, going into Ohio State and realizing that, like, holy shit, maybe we weren't as prepared for the noise as we thought, consciously preparing for that and expecting it the second time around versus, again, being deer in the headlights. It's just like, you can't put a price on the experience this team gained last year, and you can in key areas you could make strong arguments they got better. So, like, yeah, Penn State, it's going to be a really hard environment. They're going to be a really good team, but I'm not like, I'm not sitting there watching Penn State going, that team can't be beat.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It's just one of those kind of just seeing where we're at as a program type games, like kind of like getting the reality check of like, okay, this was year 1 SIG when we played Ohio State and Notre Dame. Year 2 SIG, let's see where we're at when we're going to Eugene and State College. Can't wait to see it. And yeah, we'll be doing more previews down the line. It's April, let's move it along. Who's starting to be quarterback for Wisconsin? Because we get them at home. Senior day. I'm not even going to talk about the last game because I have a feeling I know exactly what's going to happen regardless of how the season goes. But who's starting at Wisconsin next year? I don't even know.
They brought in a transfer, and I honestly keep forgetting who it is.
Oh,
I know it's not Tyler Van Dyke.
Talk real quick. Talk a bunch. I'll get it real quick.
It's funny. Wisconsin's one of those teams that you see keep popping up in recruiting battles with Indiana. There was a kid, a wide receiver from Indiana.
It's Billy Edwards Jr. It's Billy Edwards.
No, he
Jr.
transferred again.
He's starting at Wisconsin.
I thought he was at Michigan.
It is. Yeah.
He's not at Michigan?
Yeah. Wisconsin.
No shit. So he transferred and then transferred again?
No, that's where all the rumors were, that he was going to go to Michigan. Mikey Keene ended up going to Michigan and then.
Oh, I see. I thought they brought all those dudes.
No, he never committed to
like
Michigan.
5 quarterbacks.
Never committed.
Got you. Oh my God. You want to talk about
I got corrected on Twitter about that in like January.
You want to talk about seeing a steak? What do you think Mikal Kamara is doing when he sees Billy Edwards line up across from him? He's just like,
and then we end with Purdue at home.
Bib.
I don't even need to talk about that.
What do you
Brian Haynes
feel like?
I know Brian Haynes is listening.
Do you feel like Purdue is taking a step forward under Ryan Odom? Is it Ryan Odom?
Barry Odom?
Barry Odom?
Barry Odom.
I'm pretty sure it's Ryan is the football. I think Barry Odom is the coach of. Wasn't he the coach of UC Irvine?
We're not going to talk about them until they're worth talking about. I feel like that's kind of where we're at with them. That's obviously fair. I'm not overlooking any team, but I mean that's the team we legit beat by 70 in the Big Ten in the snow. Like I'm not. Oh my God. Okay, Abel, good call out. Can't completely overlook that Billy Edwards has faced the Brian Haynes scheme before, and didn't honestly with Ty Felton and Caden Prather looked all right. I don't think he has Ty Felton and Caden Prather this time around, and definitely doesn't have Roman Hemby.
He is very well acquainted. He knows Mikal Kamara very well. Billy Edwards does.
Let me reintroduce myself. My name is Mikal Kamara. Bang! Smacks the snot out of him. Love that.
That's kind of all I got for football, Brad.
Yeah, I think we're good on that. Quick baseball update. I got it right here. We're 19-4.
Brad on base.
Yeah, this is Brad on the bases. We're 18-14. I think it's been a common theme with this baseball team that basically I would say we have one of the best lineups. Maybe like UCLA might have a better lineup because they're probably gonna, win the conference this year. But Indiana has as good of a lineup as anyone in the conference. But for whatever reason, the pitching just does not support them, and it's a really hit or miss. Like they'll blow out teams by 10, and then they'll get blown out by 10 the next game. Like they're really hit or miss, this ball club, and it's a real concern. They definitely have the talent. Like if the pitching could just get a little more consistent, this team would have no problem making the tournament. But it seems to be the continual problem that we just can't figure out pitching with this coaching staff, and it might be rash, but it could be time to talk about changes. And it's really unfortunate because we had that, I forgot his name. He's a really good coach, and he ended up getting poached by Mississippi State and won a title. So like we had the guy on campus. It's just, baseball in the Big Ten, it's really hard. It's going to be starting to get dominated by, those West Coast schools that are coming in, and then Michigan, Maryland, Indiana, Nebraska have always been kind of the top, but I feel like these West Coast schools are going to kind of come in and assert their dominance. Indiana did go on the road and get a couple, I think, against the Bruins. So maybe getting hot at the right time, but right now they are out. They need to get on a little hot streak here to make the tournament or just win the Big Ten tournament, which could happen. So we'll see what happens with these guys. Gotta keep. I'm gonna keep a monitor on the situation, but yeah, it's not looking as good. Yeah, they went 1-2 against the Bruins last week, a couple weekends ago. So
Can I give you a real brief who's on campus for Indiana update right now?
Yeah, go ahead.
You know who's at Upstairs Pub right now?
Right now, who? Lamar Wilkerson.
No. It's Miles Teller.
Stop it. Stop that. You're kidding. Is this like a publicity stunt for I can't see.
There he is.
Oh, is he doing he's doing like behind the bar stuff? And
Yeah.
What is he promoting, you think?
I have no idea.
Probably some movie or like
Shout out to Upstairs.
like an alcohol or something.
Yeah, last week we if we want to transfer over, are you done with Brad on base? I liked
yeah, I would say
I
rounded the bases a little bit, and I'm just
I have to admit I haven't been following as closely, partially because of like it's just
frustrating because we have this Devin Taylor kid who's probably going to go top 10 in the
phenomenal
draft, and we're just kind of wasting a year. And it's like this was kind of supposed to be that year where we had Schwarbo and went all the way to the College World Series. We had a good team around them, and
last year was the year where like, okay, the offense is coming along. Let's like develop some pitching and like be in a position to really compete next year. And this is the year that, again, they were supposed to be.
And then the pitching just never got figured out. It's very frustrating. And yeah, like I said, it's at a point where rash decisions need to be made. And obviously focus from Dolson and company have been elsewhere, but it's time to, like I said, these West Coast schools are coming into the conference. Like if we're going to want to be competitive, we're going to have to figure out how to get some pitching to deal with these Oregon, USC, UCLA lineups that you're going to have to see every year. So, yeah, that's it for Brad on bases. Listen, by the way, my name's Brad. My real name. But, Goom on here, I guess. I guess you can call it like an alias or something. I don't know.